And do you know it is the most paying, most profitable occupation in the present-day world? At this Margaya sat up. This was a sentiment which appealed to him.
He said, "What do you mean by that? I'm going to start a sociology clinic, a sort of harmony home, a sort of hospital for creating domestic happiness, a sort of psychological clinic, where people's troubles are set right. I can charge a small fee. Do you know how many people will come in and go out of it each day?
I am certain to earn 500 rupees a day easily. My book, Bed Life, you remember you saw it? Single quote. Yes.
That's only a first step in the scheme. When that book is published, I expect to have at least 1,00,000 of copies sold." "At what price?" asked Margaya. "Say at about ₹1 per copy."
You must not price it higher than that. After all, our purpose is to reach the common man. You mean to say that you are going to make 1,00,000 of rupees out of it?
Yes, what is strange about that? That's only for a start. 1,00,000 of rupees.
1,00,000 of rupees. In Margaya's eyes, this man began to assume grandeur. This lank fellow, cycling about and gathering news, held within his palm the value of 1,00,000 of rupees.
Margaya was filled with admiration. Tooth powder and snuff and all the rest seemed silly stuff beside this. You could never see 1,00,000 of rupees with these commodities. It would probably go back into the oven again and again, perhaps. But here was a man who spoke of 1,00,000 of rupees as if it were a 5-rupee note.
That's only a starting point, Paul added. There is no reason why it should not go on earning a similar sum year after year. It's a property which ought to bring in a regular rent.
There is no limit to your sales. The book will simply be, there will be such a clamor from humanity for this stuff that ultimately every human being will own a copy. The Tamil-speaking area in India gives us a good start. Add to it the tens and thousands of people in Siam, Burma, South Africa and so on, and you get the number of copies you should print.
And then if it is translated into Hindi, it should reach the whole of India, and the population of India is 360 millions according to the last census. If every man parts with a rupee, see where you are. Yes, replied Margaya, greatly impressed.
I never thought there was such a wide scope for selling books. Not for all books. For instance, if I wrote a book of, say, poems or philosophy, nobody would touch it, but a book like Bed Life is a thing that everyone would like to read.
Do you know, people like to be told facts, people like to be guided in such matters. Ultimately, as I told you, I shall open a clinic. I want to serve mankind with my knowledge.
I don't want to keep it within my closed fists. We must all be helpful to each other. I have worked for years and years studying and writing, just in order that mankind may be helped.
He spoke without stopping for breath, and concluded, do you know, if I just throw down a hint anywhere that there is such a book as this, people will fall over each other to publish it. Indeed. Yes, there are offers often 1,000 rupees or more for it.
But I won't part with it for 10 times that amount. Why not? Asked Margaya. Because I can do better than that if I keep it.
If people come to make a business offer, they will find me very hard, let me assure you, because I know my mind. So it will be impossible to get it out of you, asked Margaya. Yes, generally, if anyone comes to me as a businessman.
Oh, Margaya said, remembering with despair that he came under that category. The other added, but let a man come to me as a friend and hold out his hand, the book is his. But you will lose your luck.
I wouldn't care. Don't imagine I am so fond of money. I treat money as dirt.
This was a shocking statement for Margaya. He cried, oh, don't say such things. You must not.
He recollected how the goddess Lakshmi was such a sensitive creature that if a man removed a tumbler of milk, she fled from the place and withdrew her grace. I am a man who cares for work, human relationships, and service to mankind, said Dr. Paul. Money comes last in my list.
Margaya felt a desperate idea welling up in him. He could hold it back no longer. It almost burst through his lips, and he asked, suppose I say, give me that for printing and selling, what would you do?
In answer, the other went out and came back carrying the bag which had been hanging from his cycle handle. He thrust his hand into the bag, and brought out the manuscript. Without another look at it, he dropped it on Margaya's lap as he sat on the stool.
Are you playing? Asked Margaya, hardly able to believe his eyes. It was bound in a blue wrapper.
He vaguely turned its leaves to assure himself that it was the right book. Principles of Embracing. You take it.
It's yours. Do whatever you like with it, said Pal magnificently. No, 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 said Margaya.
How can I? It's no longer mine, said the other. It is a bargain which is closed.
He looked resolute. He then held out his hand and said, Give me what you have in your pocket. I will take it in exchange.
It's a bargain. You cannot back out of it. Margaya said, I haven't brought any money.
Then why have you brought that purse? I see its outline. Margaya looked down with a sigh.
Yes, the damned stuff was showing. It's not a purse, he tried to say. But the other said, Take it out, let me see what it is that looks like a purse, but isn't.
Stick to your bargain. Margaya put his hand in and brought out the little purse, which had a silver George V embossed on it. He opened it.
25 rupees were all its contents. He took out a 5-rupee note and placed it on the outstretched palm of Dr. Pal. The other didn't close his fingers or withdraw his arm.
He sternly said, Stick to your bargain. Empty it. This is all I have, pleaded Margaya.
I'm giving you all that I have for my part. Margaya said, I have to buy rice. I have a wife and child.
Don't be theatrical. Stick to your bargain. Here's something I'm giving you worth at least 1,00,000 rupees.
In return for it, give me your purse. I will take it whether it contains 1 rupee or 1,000 or none. Isn't it a fair bargain?
I can't give you my purse. It's a lucky purse. I've had it for countless years now.
I don't want your purse. Give me only its contents. I don't want your book.
I don't know how to print or sell a book. Go to a printer and he will print it. You tell the public the book is ready and they will come and buy it.
There are no further complications. It's the easiest business under the sun. In fact, you will hardly be able to meet the demand.
Then why have you not done it yourself? Asked Margaya. Well, I was about to. But just to show you what is a bargain, I've made my offer, he drawled.
If you are really keen on cancelling this bargain, I'm ready for it. On second thoughts, I don't see why I should waste my breath on you. He reached for the manuscript on Margaya's lap, saying, Every man must make his choice in life.
This is a crossroads at which you are standing. Someday you will see another man going away in his roles, while you sit on the market fountain and brood over my words of this evening. I will give you 5 minutes to think it over.
I'll have the entire contents of your purse or none at all. He kept his arm outstretched to receive the manuscript back and fixedly gazed at his wristwatch. His face was grim.
Margaya's face perspired with intense excitement. I'm losing 20,000 each minute, he told himself. 20, 40, 60.
He wanted to say, Give me 5 minutes more, but his throat had gone dry. No words came. By the time he could get his voice to produce a sound again, another 10 seconds were gone.
Looking at this man, he prayed, God, why have you put me in the company of this terrible man amidst these wooden boxes? A yellowish sunlight came in through a top ventilator and fell on the opposite wall. He will probably choke me if I don't agree, he ruminated.
He wondered if he should scream for help. Somewhere a cycle bell sounded. Wasn't it auspicious, the sounding of a bell?
3 seconds more, said the other. The sound of the bell was the voice of God. God spoke through his own signs.
Margaya's decision was made. He suddenly felt lighter and said jocularly, 3 seconds. That's a great deal yet.
He added grandly, Tell me when there is still half a second to go, and pushed away the other's outstretched arm. Margaya carried the manuscript home as if he was trying to secrete a small dead body. He was afraid lest somebody should stop him on the way and look at it.
He had begged Pal at least to wrap it in paper. Pal snatched up an old issue of Silver Way and wrapped it up. Margaya told himself all along the road, I must see that the young fellow doesn't get at it.
His plan had been to tuck it within the folds of a stack of clothes in his box the moment he reached home. At the front door he saw his wife with his son on her lap, inducing him to swallow his food by diverting his attention to the stars in the sky and the street below. Father!
The little fellow cried joyfully, trying to jump out of his mother's arms. Wait, Margaya said, and passed in swiftly, trying to conceal the bundle under his arm. "What is it that you are carrying?"
his wife asked as he went by. "Bread?" He made no reply but walked straight in, opened his box and securely locked it up.
He then went through his routine of changing and washing. His wife brought in the child and gave him into his care. Balu said, "A monkey came to our house."
"That's very good," Margaya said. "What did it do?" "It ate coconut and will come again tomorrow."
"Father, why don't you buy me a monkey?" "Yes, when you are a good boy." "Balu is a good boy," he replied, certifying to his own conduct.
Margaya sat in the corridor with his son on his lap. He felt light and buoyant, expansive, and full of hope that the good things of life were now within his reach. He hummed a tune to himself, and played with his son.
All the time his wife was very curious to know what he had brought in the parcel. She knew by trying to look severe she would never get the truth out of him. She said something agreeable about the boy. "Do you know what a change is coming over the little fellow?
He is so quiet and obedient nowadays," she said, coming and standing beside him. Margaya replied, "He is the finest youngster except when he is otherwise," and laughed. The boy looked at him bewildered and said, "Why do you laugh?"
"I don't know," Margaya said, and all of them laughed heartily. The boy, having heard a good report about himself, wanted to keep it up, and did nothing to exasperate his father. He ate a quiet dinner, lay down on his mat and ordered his father to tell him a story.
Margaya strained his memory and began the story of the fox, the crow and the lion, till the boy interrupted him with, "I don't like the fox story. Tell me a flower story." "I don't know any flower story," Margaya pleaded.
At this the boy threatened to kick his legs and cry. Margaya hastily began, "Once upon a time there was a good flower," and fumbled and hemmed and hawed, wondering how people wrote hundreds of pages of stories. Which brought to his mind Dr. Pal and his book, how those people ever could sit down and write so many pages.
He admired for a moment their patience, and subsequently corrected himself. He didn't like to admire anyone and so said to himself, "These fellows have no better business, that's why they sit down and fill up sheets, whereas we businessmen have hardly any time left even to compose our letters." The boy insisted on knowing at this stage, what flower was it?
"Lotus," he felt like saying, but checked himself and said, "Some flower. Why do you want its name now?" and then blundered through a clumsy, impossible story, till the boy fell asleep out of sheer lack of interest. After finishing all her work, his wife came up with an endearing smile and sat beside him on the mat.